We appreciate the training that you give to our youth, so that they know their rights, they know what they can do, so that they know what they cannot do as well. The only way this industry can grow is when we really come together and focus on developing the industry.
So I do hope for all of you that you will get more support every year for continuing your incredible work.
Best feature film.
Last days, Nigeria.
Nigeria people, hey!
What's on your mind in Kenya? Bahari yetu Tanzania.
Sipi Chada.
Kizito Samuel Forbidden Uganda.
Isolated Kenya.
Kenyatta University Perfect Match.
Student feature film goes to GG Kenya.
The parents in the house.
It's a learning process and we really appreciate.
The training and the workshop on cinematography has opened my eyes into so many other things that I did not know.
Corporate world is getting interested in the creative economy.
Africa is rising, and the Lipff film is a good opportunity to also empower young Africans to talk about conservation matters.
Wakati mwingine ni vizuri sana kuwafikiria walengwa na kuwapa kila kitu ambacho kweli wanakihitaji kukipata.
Collaborate and tell those stories.
It always means a lot, when it comes to our story, the African story.
I really enjoyed Nakuru.
It feels really nice to be here.
I just feel like everything is just amazing.
It has been amazing. I love every single bit of the festival. The hospitality of the people in Kenya has been, superb.
The Lake International Pan-African Film Festival has grown beyond us who founded it. And right now we are welcoming a lot of people to come in and partner with us. The Nakuru County government, we want them to work with us to make Nakuru and the Lipff Festival a tourist attraction event in this country.
Good night, Nagambula is my language.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Hi.
Welcome.
Good evening.
Welcome to our session this evening. We are excited to have you. Thank you for tuning in to our discussion. I'm going to be your moderator this afternoon. I want to thank Dr. Okoth, the director of this film festival, for giving us this opportunity to have a discussion on the subject of women in filmmaking. And so we want to invite our viewers. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. Kindly talk to us. My name is Dr. Evelyn Hongo from Kenyatta University. I am a lecturer in the Department of Communication, Media, Film and Theatre Studies. And the subject on women is one of those that we address when we are teaching our students in film. And one of the areas I also teach is women in film. And so I'm excited this evening to moderate this discussion. Our topic is going to be the rise of women in the film industry. And before we get our discussion rolling, I have 4 beautiful women who are going to talk to us. Today we have a special group of women, and there's something special about them. They will tell us in the introduction. And before I even talk about participation of women in film, I'm sure there are many of you, when they hear about women, sometimes they think, what have they got to offer? But when I learned that I was going to moderate this panel, I did some little research on what it means to be a woman. And whatever I'm going to say, we are going to be looking out on it as we have our discussion tonight. And some of the perspectives I came across were things like, being a woman means being able to be powerful and assertive, yet kind at the same time. Being a woman means being compassionate and vulnerable towards those we love in our lives without feeling weak for doing so. It also means striving for our goals even in the face of adversity we may encounter along the way. Other perspectives I also came across said being a woman is being a valuable member of society. It means being articulate and strong-willed. And finally, one that I thought would serve as an introduction for us as we start this discussion, it means being unapologetic for who we are, what we want, and what women deserve. That women are human beings like everyone else and that they deserve to be heard. And so that's why we have our women filmmakers today. I know that when we talk about film, many times we'll talk about men and achievements of men, but little is given to women so that they can speak for themselves. And also that we have had minimal exposure of women in film. And so I'm excited. I'm happy to have these women with us today. I hope the adjectives that I have mentioned in this view about women, that women are powerful, they are assertive, they strive for goals, they are not weak people, they should not be apologetic. Some of those perspectives are going to be outlined and highlighted as we do our discussion. And so I'm going to introduce our panelists today. This evening, we have Betty Kathungu Furet. I know before I ask Betty to introduce herself that all of them are women. They are special and they have different abilities as far as film is concerned. They have participated in different ways in filmmaking. And so I think it would be good for them to tell us about themselves, who they are, what they have done, and everything regarding women in film tonight. And so I will start with Betty Kathungu Furet. And perhaps as Betty, you introduce yourself, also tell us something about Furet Films, now that it's got your name. Karibu, Betty.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eva and my fellow colleagues. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. My name is Betty. I am a woman, thank God. I feel very privileged that I'm a woman. I am a storyteller, I'm a filmmaker. I work as a producer mostly. I run a company called Furet Production House. It bears my name. I run it with a friend of mine. We made several pretty good works of film. I dare say myself. We look forward to continuing to do film and to represent the African voice in the global forum of filmmaking and storytelling. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. Thank you for that beautiful introduction about yourself. We move on to Bay. Bay, is it Wang'ondu or Wang'ondu? Kindly let us know. Karibu sana.
Asante sana. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Beatrice Wang'ondu, but my industry name now is B Wang'ondu. It's been like that for a minute, so now I'm stuck with it and I love it. But I'm a filmmaker. I started. My background is in documentary. I've shot some documentaries in Ghana, in South Africa, in Zambia, many different countries across the continents. But the ones that I really like is the one I made in Somali a couple of years back. And a lot of other stats I've worked with different people. And then, of course, our short film, The Whistleblower, which won a couple of awards last year. Besides that, I love film. I love being a woman. I love being feminine. I love the idea that I'm passionate about who I am and what I want to do with my life. And I'm in development for a couple of projects, films, feature films, and television series. That's about me.
Thank you, Babe. I'm happy that you have attested to that adjective that says that women are unapologetic about who they are, that you're proud to be a woman. Thank you for that. I want to introduce Betty, sorry. Sorry. I want to introduce Edima Otuokon. I don't know that I said it right. Edima, you could tell us how we pronounce your name.
Okay, so it's Edima Otuokon. So it's an ice cream cone, Otuokon. So, okay, hello everyone.
Hello.
My name is Edima. It's a pleasure to be here on the panel today. So a bit about me. Well, I'm co-founder of the Ladima Foundation. For us, Ladima means a lot, you know, especially around structuring in the African film industry. I wear a number of hats. I am also a policy, you know, maker in a sense. In Nigeria, I also consult for the government. I am currently in government, just trying to ensure that we can make changes to a lot of the policies that impact women and the vulnerable. So that's me in a nutshell. Yes.
Thank you, Edima. I'm excited to know that you come from Nigeria. We have had a lot of films from Nigeria, and Kenyans love watching Nigerian films. So we are going to hear a little bit more about women and Nigerian filmmaking. I've also had you talk about policy making. We shall be finding out how do you influence policies in as far as the participation of women in film is concerned. We are also going, I'm sure you're also going to tell us how you have dealt with certain issues regarding women and film. And so we want to move on to our fourth panelist, and her name is Sarah Hassan. Karibu Sarah, tell us about yourself. Who is Sarah Hassan?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here among such amazing women. I'm Sarah Hassan. I am an actress, I am a TV host, and I'm a producer. I've been acting and hosting much longer than I have been a producer. I decided to get into producing after film school, just to be able to be a part of storytelling, to be able to be a part of telling stories that I want to see as well. I've produced 3 feature films right now. Plan B, which has 3 million views on YouTube right now. I produced 46, which is premiering on Netflix on the 20th of November. And I produced another film called Just in Time, which is a Nigerian-Kenyan collaboration, a West African-East African collaboration, which is coming soon, and 2 short films. So I'm very excited to be here. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, ladies. We are excited to have you, and we are going to have a discussion. We have said you're a special group of women, and you're special because as we focus on our topic today, we are saying that we need to recognize the efforts of women in the film industry, and particularly to also note that women have done so well in as far as film production is concerned, even though at times people have not recognized these efforts. And so we are going to be discussing your journey, your challenges, those moments that you would love to talk about as a woman. What is that moment that, Nat? What is that moment that you would want to share with other women so that they can get excited about filmmaking if they are interested in filmmaking, so that they don't feel discouraged and think that this is a field that belongs to the other? We want to share with them our moments in filmmaking. And so one question that I would want to ask, or one area that I would want us to discuss, and I would want you to share with our viewers, is your journeys in filmmaking. I want to believe that we all have different experiences and we have had different journeys. First and foremost, when perhaps I would start with Betty. I would want to know, when did you start your journey of filmmaking, and what inspired you to venture into filmmaking?
I hope I can be able to summarize this because I've not done this for a long time. So the story is long, but I've always loved stories. That's one. I've always loved stories. I was introduced to stories by my dad. He used to read to me every day since I was actually 7. I don't remember a time when my dad never read me a story. And he used to read for me this African writer series.
Can I interrupt a bit? Betty? Betty, we can't hear you well. If you could be a bit louder.
Okay, Zippy said the same thing. Let me see what I can do about my sound. Tell me when it gets better. Is it getting better?
Yeah, you're better.
It's better now, Kabisa? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So I was saying that I was introduced to storytelling by my father, to stories by my dad. He read to me for as long as I can remember, since I was a kid. And he used to read this African writer series, Chinua Achebe, Elechi Amadi, Amos Tutuola, you know, the AWS series that was published by, I think, well, I forget. But so I got interested in stories from there and I began to act. And then when I was about, I think I must have been about 24, and I'm 43 now, it's when I decided I wanted to be a filmmaker. And I went to film school. I wanted to be a producer. I've never been anything else. I like directing. I admire camera work, but I always wanted to be a producer, the person that creates the stories and puts the teams together. So I went to film school when I was around 24, and I began my company when I was around 26. And
Betty, you're faint again. You're faint? Yeah, that's better.
Let's move on to somebody else. I look for some sort of sound device that I can work. Is that okay?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah?
Thank you, Betty.
Okay.
I would want perhaps we move on to Sarah Hassan. Sarah, can you share with us your journey in filmmaking? And then perhaps as you share with us with your journey, you could also tell us what inspired you. Because I'm sure there are young women like you listening to us this evening, and they would want to know what was the motivation behind you getting into film.
All right. So I started acting professionally straight after high school. So I've been acting for about 13 years now, acting and hosting. I'd always wanted to go to film school. And even though I'd been on very many sets, I still knew exactly what crew and all that did. I didn't necessarily have the technical know-how. And so I'd always wanted to go to film school. So I went to New York Film Academy. I was in Los Angeles for about 2.5 years. And the good thing is, even though I was in school for acting, they also taught us, they wanted us to be self-sufficient. So if you want to produce a short film, they wanted to give you sort of like the technical know-how on how to do that yourself. And so we had to learn everything from how to write a script, how to direct, how to use a camera, how to light, how to produce, how to hold boom. So every single crew position we had to learn how to do so that they can sort of make us self-sufficient. So even if you venture into a different area other than acting, then you kind of have that base. You've already studied for it, so you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. And so I leaned towards producing, and I did that mainly because I still loved acting. I still love acting. I still act. I still host. I leaned towards producing because then you have the control to tell the stories that you want to tell. And so, yeah, that's why I leaned towards producing. And I've been producing now for about, I would say, 3 years. Yeah, and I love it. So far, so fantastic. So, yeah, I think that's a bit about that.
Okay.
Yes.
You have been at it for 3 years, but it sounds like you've been there for quite some time.
I have been acting for 13 years, for over 13 years. I've been acting and hosting. I just didn't necessarily have the technical know-how. Like when you have that, then you have sort of like the courage to just start. You know, it's never a good time to start. So I just started with a short film when I was still out in the States. So I just started with a short film, and it worked out. We won a few awards, and I was like, all right, now I have the technical technical know-how, but I also have a bit of experience. And then after that, I continued. And with every job, it's a learning experience. Every single day, it's a learning experience. So I absolutely love it.
Wow, beautiful. There's one thing I love about your experience that you are full, you are all rounded. You can manage all crew members as you do your productions, and therefore you understand every technical bit, and therefore you do not have to over rely on people you're working with. In the event that there's a team member missing, at least you may be able to cover that. That's wonderful. Thank you, Sarah. Bay, kindly tell us your story, your journey first, and then tell us your inspiration. What inspired you?
Okay, so I was a small girl when Mohammed Amin, the big photographer, passed on, and his story was ran by Rotas on KBC, and I watched it while at home, and I remember not being able to forget that story. Like somebody was actually going all the way out to Ethiopia and covering all these stories and sharing with the world. How is that even possible? And I told my dad about it. I told everybody about it. And after that, there was no stopping me. I wanted to know the people that talk on TV, where do they see it? Where do they go to school? Do they actually go to school? You know, nobody had answers because I come from a family of educators and doctors and, you know, so then here comes me saying, oh yeah, this is something I'd like to do. And that started my journey with my dad of hide and seek for watching TV or not watching TV. You know, then there was no question after that that I was going to do this thing despite everything. So immediately after college, after high school, my mom already knew what's going to happen. My dad had passed on by the time. So it was a matter of when, because my mom was a pro B. Hey, go do the thing you want to do. So college here in Nairobi wasn't hands-on. At the time, I had to like find spaces where I'd learn the skills that are necessary to be practically applicable in the industry. And that's what happened. I just took every other internship that came my way and, you know, worked for free and all sorts of things. And and then I ended up at Mediva, which was media development in Africa, where we worked on television features like Tazama, and then talk shows like Agenda Kenya, the Women's Show. And that allowed me the space to understand how television works. And after that, then I transitioned into independent documentary. And after that, then there was no stopping me. I knew the road was clear. It was just all systems go. And here I am today, still passionate, still driven, and thank you.
Thank you, babe. You are unstoppable. I love that. That nothing could stop you from moving on. Once you got started, you moved on. And that reminds me of what we have just said at the beginning, that, you know, women believe in themselves. And once they believe in themselves, they move and move on. And those are the kind of stories we want our viewers to listen to, particularly the women who may be interested in filmmaking. And so I want to, in fact, before I move on to the next person, you've just reminded me of when we were in school. I think in my age, you guys are younger. And now I think our parents have learned about film, they've watched film, they've seen it's something good. But in our days, if you went to school and you told your parents that you're doing acting, they would ask you, are you mad? They thought acting and those kinds of things were for those people who are not interested in education. So it's like you are foolish to go for such things. But today they understand that filmmaking is quite something. That's the way to go. And that's where we are finding our powerful women. And so we are grateful for that exposure or expose about yourself. And I like it. I hope our young listeners are listening to you and understanding that you do not need to be pushed, and you do not need anybody to tell you how to do it. You can actually get personal inspiration to do film and actually make it. I want to go back to Betty. I hope now she's audible so that she could finish off before I move on to Edima. Betty, are you ready, or should I invite Edima?
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Like there's an echo in my earphones. I hope it. Anyway, so I was saying that my dad is the one that inspired me to be a storyteller. And as soon as I finished high school, I went to the theater. I went to the Kenya National Theater, and I went to Miujiza Players, and I started off as an actor. But I always knew that I wanted to be more than that. I wanted to be the one that, you know, puts the team together, creates the stories. And I went to film school when I was about 24. I went to Andrew Crawford School of Media Studies. It's since closed, unfortunately. And then I immediately went and opened my company and did my first film. My first film was my student film for film school, was my student film. But I did it as a full-length feature, and I sold it to Mnet. It was called Wangai's Cross. And since that time, I never did look back. I went on to, you know, collaborate with many more people, create more stories. And I have absolutely no doubt that this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And I love the job, really, I do, yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. Okay. It's good to know that your dad inspired you.
Yes, he did. He's a storyteller himself, and he's the one that gave me the love for stories.
Wow. Wonderful. Thank you, Betty. Nice to hear that. It's good to know that even sometimes our parents support us in this journey. I just said most of our parents would think, where will film take you? You know, those are some of the questions they would ask you. Where will film take you? And I think some of them even thought that that is something of the West. You and Wazungu, it's not for Africans. So it's not going to take you anywhere. But now they are watching Kenyan films that are doing very well. And perhaps after this, we'll be talking about the stories that you tell, the content, the themes. What is the focus of our Kenyan films, or should we say African, because we have Edima. And before we move there, we could let Edima tell us her journey. I have seen that she is a strong advocate of women in filmmaking. Perhaps she could also tell us about that. Karibu, Edima.
Thank you. Okay, so for me, I started my journey within the film, you know, landscape, let's put it that way, because unlike a lot of the women on this panel, I'm not a filmmaker, but I started about 30 years ago. I used to be a presenter. I used to write, edit, and present a fashion magazine program on TV in Nigeria and Lagos. And just like what you've said here, my dad didn't think it was a career that, you know, I should get into. It almost seemed as if for you to be in, you know, on TV, you were exposing yourself, and, you know, there's so many things, you know, so you're socialized not to think that, you know, being on TV is right. That's, you know, that it was loose women, in quotes, that, you know, had that career. And eventually I left, you know, the, you know, TV and went into other things. Now, I got involved about 6-7 years ago in like film festivals across Africa. So Cape Town, Ziff, and all that. And one of the things that I noticed was that the same environments that, you know, was prevalent about 30 years ago when I was doing, it's the same thing, you know. There really wasn't any structural change in how, you know, the film industry worked. And then you looked at the film festivals, a lot of, you know, women weren't having their films selected because, you know, selection committees probably had more men than you had women. And so not understanding the perspective behind, you know, which a woman makes her film, they'd say no, you know, and films wouldn't be selected. And so my co-founder of Ladima, Lara, we had been involved in all these festivals, and we realized that we needed to do something. And that was where Ladima started, you know, to ensure that we could, you know, work towards, you know, equity, you know, some sort of structure within the film value chain so that it supports women in film. So that is my journey, essentially, because I saw that there really hadn't been a change in almost 3 decades. And I can see that it's not just Ladima that is doing that. We have SWIFT. We have quite a number of other organizations that are now coming together and collaborating and making sure that the film environment begins to support women in film. So that is, my passion is about structure. It's about, enabling women who are passionate about having their voices heard through documentaries, through features, through animation, being able to tell those stories, and also profit from, making their stories. So we're not supposed to be here to, just like you said, we should be unapologetic, we should be assertive, but we should also show the vulnerability that is Africa, and show it in a sense that speaks, of dignity, and that's what women in film tend to do. So I think maybe that's where I'll stop so that I don't take the conversation. But my journey and my passion is just to make sure that we create policies, legal infrastructure that enable women to, in the film industry, to operate in a safe, environment.
Thank you, Edima. It's good to know that we have women who have taken an advocacy role, that there are women who are fighting for women who understand what women go through in the process of filmmaking. And while we are at that, I would just want you to share with us what kind of policies, because you've told us you are involved in making policies with regard to women in filmmaking. I don't know whether it is possible for you to share with us some of those policies that you have developed in your country and how they have supported women in filmmaking.
Okay, so if you understand the the African political terrain, it's a process to get policies in place. What I've tried to do is try to position myself in a manner where I can influence, the way policies are created. I can advise and I can say, look, we need to do this. So I used to run a program for DFID under the Enable project, which was called NASBA, so the National Assembly Business Environment Roundtable. One of the things that you get to see is that a lot of filmmakers don't take filmmaking as a business. And what we tried to do in NASBA was to speak to filmmakers in Nigeria to understand what are the issues you face. How can we legislate? Because sometimes policies, if they're not backed by law, tend to just fade away with each government that comes into power. I mean, the policies that we're trying to push through, I mean, we have bills that are going in, but, as we always say, there are always people who are for and who oppose. There are people that the current environment, benefit. And then there are people that don't want, the policy. So right now, we're just in the process of trying to create structures that will support, the film environment. So like the film sets, sexual harassment within, the film industry, those kind of things. But it's been a journey. And we're still trying to, get this policy sorted out. But Ladima is pretty close to the management of the Nigerian Film Corporation. And what we try to do is to ensure that we can work with them, to create an environment that supports women in film. So for instance, we have the Ladima Film Academy that we are about to start. And that is a film academy strictly for women. And that is based out of research that we have gotten where women have said, and from my experience running, workshops in Zanzibar and other, film festivals, where women will not complete, their courses because they feel that their male counterparts aren't allowing them to speak, or the facilitators, jump over them when it comes to getting their own feedback on certain things. So the Nigerian Film Corporation is working with us to set up that academy. They actually gave us the space even though at this point we may not be utilizing that particular space that was given to us, but they're working with us to get those courses accredited so that any woman who goes through the academy knows that you have an internationally recognized accreditation, for film. So those are the kind of policies that we're putting in place to create safe environments where women can come, learn, share, collaborate, and rise within the film industry.
Wow, wonderful, Edima. It's good to know that at least in Nigeria, we have policies in place to support women in the film industry.
We're just starting. We're just starting.
Pardon?
No, I'm saying we're just starting. The policies aren't fully in place. We're just starting to put them in place.
Okay. Yes. Okay, they're in the process. At least in the pipeline. Yes. So there's hope for the women in Nigeria. I would want to hear from our other panelists, in their opinion. I want to start with Sarah Hassan. In your opinion, how has the film industry supported female or women filmmakers? In your opinion, has there been some support or not? Or what is the position in as far as women participating in film is concerned?
I think times are changing and it's much more inclusive now than it was before. Because before, when I was just starting out in terms of acting, I didn't see that many female filmmakers to look up to as a young person starting out in the film industry, to see like this is a person in a power position, this is a producer. There were very few that I personally knew or that I saw on TV or I saw being interviewed and stuff like that. But then now I would say times are changing because, I mean, look at this panel right now. So I would say times are changing, and it's hard to keep a woman down. Once you put your mind to it, you do it. So it's great to see a rise in number of female filmmakers, a rise in number of females behind the camera. It's very good inspiration for young females wanting to come into the industry, knowing that cinematographer doesn't need to be a man, it can be a woman. Gaffer doesn't need to be a man, it can be a woman. So it's good to see women taking up different roles, and that way younger females who want to be in the film industry, they don't think that I can only be this thing, I can only be a production manager, I can only be continuity, I can only be a certain part of film. So it's good to see that there's a number of females coming up, not just in front but also behind the camera.
Okay, Bay, tell us, in your opinion, has the film industry been supportive?
Has the film industry been supported?
Pardon?
I think can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Right. So there's always been women. There's always been women in the industry. I was specifically inspired film-wise, especially independent filmmaking, by women. So they've always been here. It's just that we don't elevate. We don't. Their voices, or they were not being celebrated. You did not know who had made what the film you were watching, but culturally our men were all the way out there like, do you know I was this on this film, like I knew the men before I knew the women, So, but now I think the other way I can answer your question is that my next film, 80% of our crew is going to be made up of female filmmakers.
Nice.
Good.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, woman support.
Absolutely. It's not. I wouldn't even call it support. I'll not call it support. This is a responsibility. Our stories has nothing to do with anything else except showing the world and ourselves who we are. It's about identity.
Okay.
It's about respecting ourselves enough to not allow anybody else to tell our stories.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So
That's
we'll
what it
also
is
be
for me.
talking about your stories. Soon after this, we'll be talking about the kind of stories that women tell. But before we leave there, we want to hear from Betty.
Something Sarah has said has made me think a little on something I'd never thought about the fact that there were no women to look up to. I was in mid-90s. That's when I started to work in the film industry or the acting industry, and there was only two women. There was Wanjiru Kenyanchui and the girl for Saikati. What's her name? Oh my God! I hope she's not listening to me. She hears me forget her name. The one who made Saikati, Mungai, Anne Mungai. Those are the only two ladies. Anne Mungai. They're the only two ladies that made film, and that we were 17, 18, and they were two way ahead of us. And then a little later came Jerry Karago and Judy Kibinge. So the fact that, I mean, the support that I can see is that more and more women are joining the film industry. That is absolutely something fantastic that Sarah has said. I mean, to use myself as an example, when I was making my last film, I was going through a tough time, and I spoke to Beatrice, I spoke to Zippy, I spoke to Faith Colley. Those are female filmmakers that I was turning to at my lowest point. So maybe what we should think about as Kenyans is a more structured women in film sort of thing, like what Edima is doing in Nigeria, like more structured. We make it a little more structured. That's the only way I can put. So we can have a place to go to and people to talk to, inspiration to draw from.
Yeah.
I've met Sarah maybe once or twice, and I've watched her films, but we've never sat across from each other and just shared our journeys. At least Beatrice, we meet and ZP and the other females, but I think that's the one thing that we must really think to do, make it a little more structured, women in film. I don't know, someone take up that mantle, maybe,
Wow, beautiful. Yes, I think Dr. Okoth is hearing that, and I think we need to have a forum where then we can just have women discuss their issues and discuss their participation in film. And I'm looking forward to that day when that will happen. I think we're almost getting there with those powerful stories that you're telling us and the achievements that we have seen. And while I am on that, I would want us to hear what kind of stories have female filmmakers, what has been the determining factors of the kinds of stories that you have told. I just know that you have done several productions, particularly Betty, and I'm thinking, what motivates the stories that you tell? What kind of stories have you told? And what has determined the choice of stories that you have told your viewers in your films? And perhaps also the concerns in your films, the themes or the subjects of your films. I know you have done several.
Something, I don't think it's ever been thought out. I just read a story. And I like it. I'm first drawn to characters. Whatever, characters live different situations. You can have a male character, and then you're just talking about this part of their life. So I'm firstly drawn to characters, and then the situations they're thrown into. That's how I've always chosen my story. There's never been a decidedly I'm gonna go for family oriented, or I'm gonna go for comedy, or I'm gonna go for this. No. What I know, I've always said I wanted to do, and it's time I put my money where my mouth is. I've always wanted to tell the African history. I've tried once in a short documentary, and I've read lots of books and experimented with lots of films, and a few are in development, but I've never quite managed to do them. But that is something I'd really, really love to do. The history of Kenya, the history of Africa, the history of the women that have worked, the history of the women in Kenya, the history of the women in Kenya, but I haven't quite actually gotten around to doing it. My stories have never been informed by anything in particular, just by when I read it, I feel it, and then I want to do it, That's just it. Is that a bad thing? Is that a bad thing?
Okay. I know that Bear told us that she's also a screenwriter. Perhaps she may have some different kind of motivation that there's something that determines the kinds of stories that she tells, and perhaps maybe also think about the kind of themes that you would want to have in her films. Perhaps that's there's a different view to that. Bay.
Yes, yes, there is. I went through a time in my life where I had to redefine my identity. And in doing that, I discovered things that I did not know about myself. I discovered that I do actually love the idea of family. I love the women as a topic because it's just too wide and completely not even touched. And then I realized I love justice. And so all of my identity, of course, is a theme. These are things you will see in all of my work. Anything I've done, it'll run through. And the next film that you're going to work on this next year is going to be very rich with that. So yes, I'm the selective one. I don't take everything. I want to know what are we talking about and how does the end plan look like? When people watch this film, when they sleep at night, what's going to be running in their head? That's the kind of story. I am very selective.
Wow. Beautiful. Yes. So we are thinking our listeners, particularly young ones like you at home, will be wondering, is there a way we can go about film storytelling for women? Because there are people who have felt that when you hear about a film made by a woman, there must be this, there must be that, there must be perhaps a woman crying, there must be a woman story, there must be a weak woman, those kinds of things. So, do you think about it when you are selecting your stories, or is it what is there? Like Betty said, it's spontaneous. I read the story, I like the story, I produce the story. Sarah Hassan, what has been your experience?
For me, I would say like Bay, I'm quite selective, not just in terms of producing, but in terms of acting as well. For me, story content is king. It needs to be a good story. And for me as a female actress, and I know where I'm going, I know the vision that I have for myself as an actress, which is the same as what I have as a producer. Because a few of the stuff that I will produce, I will act in. So, and for me, getting into producing, one of the things that I wanted to do was, as an actor in Kenya, sometimes you might not get the opportunity you would like to get in terms of the roles you would like to act. And so for me, what I tell younger people or anyone who's coming into the film industry, then create your own space. There's enough space for everyone. Create your own space. You want to act as this strong woman, or you want to act as this whatever. Create that opportunity for yourself and do it. Produce your own stuff, and then before you know it, producers like Betty, producers like B, they see your work, and they'll call you for a role. So it's about also being selective in terms of, where is your brand going? Where are you going as a producer? Where are you going as an actor? Because then you can't, you have to grow. In every single project that you're doing, there has to be growth. You can't be backtracking. Even if, I know money is a factor, but also sometimes you have to look past that, because then it is, if it's moving back, then you'd rather wait for an opportunity, or create an opportunity for yourself, or create an opportunity for others as well, where you will grow in some sort of way. So for me, I am quite selective in that way, in terms of the stories that I pick to act or produce. Yes, so for me, there has to be growth in some way. It has to be challenged in some way. Yeah.
Can I just say, sorry, Eva, as a creative producer, I get to decide what the story is. I define what the story is. So at that point, as a producer, I'm already also then saying my budget is going to look like this. I want actors that are like this. You're literally defining the life of a story. And that's the power in taking your space, like Sarah is talking about.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Good stories, and you have to determine the story. Edima, now that you support women,
Yes.
and you
Always have,
that
always
women have
will.
to be given the space. They need to be given the space. They need to be empowered. What do you have to say about the kinds of stories that women need to tell?
Okay, so a few months ago, the Ladima, so I should explain, Ladima is Pan-African. It's not just focused on Nigeria. It's just that because I live in Nigeria, sometimes I tend to place, some projects here from a pilot point of view, and then we take it into the rest of Africa. I mean, we're about to start in Zanzibar, and we will be moving to Kenya and a few at Uganda in a few months. But when we talk about the stories that we've seen, we had a competition during the COVID-19 lockdown, that happened, in the pandemic that happened, where most countries were in lockdown, and we asked women to tell their stories and how the pandemic, was impacting them. And we could see that we got, I think it was a total of 190 submissions, and we asked them to tell the stories in 2 minutes, so they should be shorts. And what we saw was that dependent on, the region, there were certain, themes that were coming out that women were making stories about. So like in Southern Africa, there was quite a lot of gender-based violence. We found that in West Africa, there were a lot of issues around, economic impact of COVID to them. So they were telling stories that were impacting them. In Kenya, I mean, we had, I believe it was 3 or 4 winners from Kenya, and they were all around sexual violence. So I think it's they're telling stories that sort of like become therapeutic, that they're able to heal from, whatever, they have gone through. And telling these stories in a very vulnerable but yet dignified manner, because it's being told by women. So we saw that. But we also, I mean, we run this Ladima Award, the Adiaga Award for documentaries, and we see that there's also a trend, the documentaries that we see are always personal stories. So like Tamara, who won the Adiaga Award this year at the Encounters Festival. I mean, she spoke about her auntie's journey, trying to find her auntie, who had never even been spoken of in the family. And, and she takes us through this history of Ethiopia and how her auntie left and went back. And, so it's always personal stories. The same thing with Philippa, who won about 2 years ago. It was her personal journey, discovering herself, changing religions, things like that. And it really connects. It takes you on a really inspiring journey. So I tend to see that women, and I agree with Bea, that these stories are stories that you have to be intentional about in some cases, because when these stories are told by others, the depth of it, the feelings aren't really, how do I put it, expressed, because you really need to hear stories from a woman's point of view to understand her journey. And I've watched so many films. I've been pulled into juries, and a lot of the films that I'm seeing that women are making are changing, narratives. And I'll just give you a quick example. And I keep saying this, Genevieve and Naji's film Lionheart, to me, was like it defined, for me, it was a defining point in Nigerian filmmaking, because she changed a lot of narratives. Narratives that, that you find in, some films about, Nigeria or from Nollywood tend to portray different things. But what she did was a message of hope. It showed that, there was unity. There was, just create, it's not always the negative things that must come out of Africa, and that's what she did with that story. And I keep I keep watching it every time, and I keep finding new things that she, expressed there. And I think that's what we need to do, because the Americans and other countries, they use their film to entrench their own culture, their own policies, so we need to learn how to do that as well. And I think a lot of women, that is what they're doing. They're being intentional about how they tell stories and how they are able to open up their hearts to new things. So that's, I think for me, that's what we've seen in Ladima, that African women are really telling stories that are beginning to bring, a dignified perspective to Africa and its culture.
Wow, wonderful. It's good to know that we can also watch films done by women, and they can be therapeutic, that women tell stories that interact with what they go through in the society, and so that we are encouraging those women out there, particularly our young women who want to engage in filmmaking, so that they understand that you do not have to use borrowed content. We have a lot of stories that we can tell in Africa. Women have beautiful stories. We only need to listen to them. We have moved away from the traditional storytelling ways. Now we can use film, audio, visual, tell our stories and impact on women. Wonderful. I would also want us to speak to some of the issues that women face when they participate in filmmaking. And Edima, perhaps you could shed light on this one, because you have talked about having policies in the pipeline, right, that would enhance participation of women in film. And I'm just wondering, have there been any gender imbalances, and that they have affected women in as far as filmmaking is concerned? Is that an issue that we need to talk about?
Yes, it is. It is
challenges,
critical.
And perhaps the female filmmakers would also tell us, have they observed that kind of thing in film production, and how have we mitigated that?
So it is a critical issue. When you talk
we are
about
going off.
Okay. Me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me
Yes.
now?
Yes.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
So it is a critical issue. I think one of the issues that women face is funding, access to finance, when it comes to being able to generate the necessary funding required to take your production from development to post-production and then releasing it. I think there are a couple of things that do that. First and foremost, it's information. A lot of women aren't privy to information about funding or financing available to them in their different countries. And so one of the things we've tried to do to mitigate that as Ladima is on our website, on our social media handles, whatever opportunities that are available, we try to put them online and let them know. I know that I have a whole list of stuff that I'm just going to quickly go through. I know that one of the things that is happening now, especially in South Africa, is that women are, when you are submitting proposals to get grants for filmmaking, you need to make sure that a certain number of women are in the production, and certain, and you have to look at it from also a collaborative perspective. So I know that NFVF is providing women with those kind of opportunities, and so what we try to do is just bring all this information and place it so that women know. And we also try to assist in educating women on how to access the funding. We always say at Ladima, you don't know what you don't know. So it's very critical that we try as much as possible, to get this, opportunities that are available and ensure that women, have access to this, and also guide them in getting this funding.
She's kind of
Okay.
gone.
Okay, so maybe we can just continue
Just
till she comes,
continue?
so we can go
Yeah.
around. Yeah.
Sarah, you want to say about that?
You can go ahead. Go ahead.
Challenges, B?
Go ahead.
Go on.
Well, what our challenge? Well, for the longest, we didn't have film funds in Kenya. And if you were making a film in Kenya, you were probably using your money, or you were borrowing your uncle who's rich, or something like that, or you were applying internationally. You're applying for international funds, which is what most professional filmmakers have been doing for the longest. But just like 3 minutes ago, the Kenya Film Commission started giving us funds, which is an amazing thing, and has to be mentioned because Timothy Owase has really worked hard to change the face of what Kenya Film Commission should do for filmmakers in Kenya. And so we are grateful, and now, yes, it's here, but now it's a scramble for the fund.
Yeah.
Okay, because all 50 of us want this money, so it's still a very small space to go to for funding. We need more, maybe even, I don't know, as we go into developing structures for film and film financing, maybe even do a female filmmakers fund, which then separates everything, and puts us in a different place.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
So it's actually one of the things that we have been, working around, trying to see, talking to experts, looking at our networks and trying to see how we can effectively set up an African, women's filmmakers fund. Exactly. It's not an easy, process to go through, but we're taking it step by step so that we get it right. And, so that once we start, it's not something that we say, oh, well, we have the structures, but we don't have the funding. So it is, it is what it is, but we are working on that. But I think one of the things that we've also seen is a lot of women don't understand, the actual business of making films, or, the whole, what is, required, even, the kind of rights and, you must own, even talking about intellectual property, so there are quite a number of things that, we need to take one step at a time for us to be able to even access that funding. Because if you don't know the process, then you can't be part of that process in an effective manner.
Yeah.
I wonder if funding is funding is a big deal, and like B has said, the issue about Kenya Film Commission now starting this fund, and I'm proud to be one of the beneficiaries, which is a good thing, and not a very good thing because I have another film I want to make, and there's another call. But does it mean that because I won the last one, I'm not going to win this one? So we actually need more of these funds to come out. But is that the only problem that we face, really? Because we've always managed to make our films with or without money, really, right? Before. We've always found a way.
It is actually an issue. I think because even yesterday, as I was speaking to Dr. Hongo, she asked me, what are the challenges? And I told her one of the major challenges is funding. And I am actually sure someone will bring it up. I told her I was absolutely sure someone will bring it up because it is a major issue, especially being a woman. It's like I don't know, I don't understand the thinking behind that. I don't get it, but it is an issue.
What Edima said about the business and understanding the business of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Because money you can get from funds, or money you can get from the business of filmmaking. I think we Kenyan women are a little disadvantaged in that we don't have a lot of business knowledge and we don't know where to get it. I'm speaking for myself. I don't know about you ladies, but maybe that is something that should actually be looked into a little more. The business of filmmaking. For women. For me, that would be it's a bigger challenge than seeking funding, to be honest. I swear as God is my witness, because you get money, that's okay. But then what do you do with your film after that?
Yeah, well,
you wait until you get another fund to make the next film. I don't know.
Yeah, I think for me, sorry, Betty. I think for me is the idea that return on investment has to be something. The business side of thing is something that we have to have in place before going into anything else, you know.
Exactly.
But then we are Kenyans, where our audience is so intelligent and so not pro, you know, theater type of. They're not
streaming consumption. Yeah.
Yes, our audiences are not like what you would find in Lagos, where in Nigeria they have like a ready market. Whatever film you put out there, you know, you almost have a ready market. And I know they still work hard. I know they still have to do their, you know, strategies. I understand that, but their audiences are more accepting. So if we speak in terms of return on investment as far as theatrical releases are concerned, that's tricky for us as Kenyans. And I know now with digital distribution and all other sets of distribution, there's a platform to make back your money, but it's not like anywhere else. I don't know about other countries. Let me speak for where I live. I cannot say right now that 100% I know that I will get back my money, because
I can say 100% I won't get back my money. The reverse is true.
Yeah. It's either that or it will take many, a while. It will be a while before you even make it back. Yeah.
But going to Sarah, with your film, you have 3,000. You have an audience. You almost can say, compared to many other people, I feel like Sarah has built her audience with her film. What was it called?
Plan B.
Yes. You did very well, and I think it needs to be said that, you know, going out there, getting, you know, fundraising and then putting your film out there for people to see, and then they're like,
that was actually, it was literally a plan B. Lola D and I, we were actually supposed to do another film, but it would need a lot of money, so that shall be done maybe a few years from now. So we said, you know what, we're not gonna let this year end before doing something. So we discussed, we came up with an idea. She wrote the script, we funded it ourselves, and we did it. We're like, you know what, let's just do it, because why not? What's the worst that could happen? And it was also a unique selling point, because we had Lola D, who's Nigerian, and we also brought in Edima, one of the main characters from Nigeria, just to make it an East-West African collaboration and to see how it was going to be received. And we were actually very happy with the reception. So yeah, so that did great. Hopefully, now return on investment. Well.
Yeah. The question that been asked was about the challenges. So are we saying that challenges are only financial, really, for women filmmakers? I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think it's financial. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. But I think, you know, for finance is right up there, you know, with you know, because if you don't have the money to take your ideas from your mind to the script, to, you know, production and whatever it is, and then to the screen, that is a clear problem. I think it's also, you know, understanding, you know, the business of it. So just like you said, Betty, if you are given the money, how do you turn that money into, you know, how do you get return on investment, you know, so that you can continue? Because right now you're saying you won the last grant, and now you want to make another film, and you're going back to that same grant. You know, so it's really critical that we understand how we can profit from this. Technology is really helping. I mean, you see with the proliferation of, you know, different streaming platforms now, it's actually easier to make money back on, you know, your, you know, what you've created. But the point is that we need to collaborate more. I think that's one of the challenges that we have as women. We need to work together. Sometimes we're socialized inadvertently not to work with ourselves, you know? And I think we need to break that, you know, how would I put it? We need to just break that and move on and begin to work and partner, you know, with each other. I mean, I'm so happy to hear from Bea that she is going to have 80% of the women, you know, on her next, you know, of her next production as women. It's a reason why we've tried to get what we call the A-list, where women across Africa can register, women filmmakers across Africa can register. And wherever you are, you can look for a cinematographer and all that. So we need to begin to collaborate. I think another thing is capacity building. A lot of women didn't really go to like a proper, you know, like a structured film school to learn, you know, what they, you know, their craft. I think there's a need, you know, for women in film, if you're going to continue to rise, to understand, you know, the theoretical as well as the practical, you know, aspects of filmmaking. It's to understand that it's something that you need to get, you know, the skills, the, you know, proper skill set to do that. So it's you must be able to educate yourself and continue to grow within your craft. Because I mean, when you talk about cinematography, every single day, different cameras come out, different, you know, or you talk about editing, you need to continuously upskill yourself. I was speaking to Tokwe Oshin. She's a director here in Nigeria a few weeks back. And one of the things she said was that when she started, she had to be an expert in almost everything, because when she got on the set as a director, it was very hard to get everybody to listen to her, because, you know, they would, so what do you know, and where did you learn your stuff, you know, that kind of thing. So it's understanding, you know, the environment that you're in. It's also, you know, equipping yourself with the right tools to be able to effectively, you know, carry out whatever role you are carrying out within the film industry. And so I just think it's financing, it's understanding the business of film, it's capacity building, it's collaborating, and it's networking. Those are the challenges we have. And once we can, you know, overcome those challenges, and we should be able to fly, you know, in Africa as women.
Wow.
Wow, wonderful. I'm back. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, welcome.
Sorry.
Welcome back.
We missed you. Welcome
Sorry.
back. Yeah.
Technology.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. Don't worry.
Listening to your contributions, actually, that was one area that I was going to focus on, and you had well put. Thank you, Edina, for that contribution, and for all of you for what you've said. I'm sure we have women out there who are interested in filmmaking, and they're thinking there must be so many challenges, including funding. And I was just going to ask that, how have you navigated those challenges? How have you dealt with them? Because I know that filmmaking, but I think in your discussion has given us a break that we can to do. I am just thinking that being established, I don't know if established is the right word, or female filmmakers who are doing well. Listening to your introductions, one would tell that you have done well because there are many awards, your names. You have done well, you have been recognized as directors, best actors, and all those things beautiful in the film that, you know, even men are celebrated for. So we can now even celebrate women in the same areas. But my question would be, I know there's somebody sitting out there and thinking that these people, do they ever have downside to whatever they do? This filmmaking, is it just good? Do they have just good experiences, or do they ever have a moment when they are thinking they want to quit? And I think one of the things that make us quit, even in our careers, criticism. And so my question would be,
Have you ever encountered any criticisms on any work that you have produced? You have awards, but do people ever criticize and think, it is not worth it, it is not good? Have you dealt with that? But our listeners come to the reality that when you're doing well, there are challenges that will come with people who think you're not really doing well. So does that stop you as a female filmmaker, or what does it do to you? Perhaps you could share our experiences. Bear.
Okay, you want me to go first? Okay.
Hello.
Well, my whole thing is that if you're going to be a charcoal seller, you need to be ready to keep your nails short, and the black is going to be on your skin all the time. So get over the first number one thing. Get over it.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. It's terrible. It's sometimes it's miserable. There are people that I have a person that I specifically call when I feel like I'm done. This, you know what? Maybe this is too much. You know, I have moments like those, and then I have moments of the lioness when we are on the run, we are on the go. It's such a sometimes you're 0 to 100 and then 100 to 0. Let nobody tell you that this world is easy at all. And sometimes, I don't know about other people, but you have to know who you are to do this business. You have to know. You have to have your feet on a solid ground, because it's very easy for someone to say, "Oh yeah, what a terrible film! What was that you guys put out?" And immediately now you do not want to make films anymore. The world has come to an end.
Yeah.
Not in this industry. If you're gonna come in it, please realize that it's for sharks. And it's sharks because, remember, it's a one pound in Kenya and your $2,000, you know, and the international funds are up for grabs. And you're black. The international funds, remember, you're black, you're a woman.
You're a woman.
Okay, it's a scramble for everything all the time, everywhere. So that's it. So there's no time to feel, you know, there's no time for, you need to know yourself so that, you know, when I feel this way, I call this person or I do this thing that helps me get balance, you know. Yeah, because if the rain is falling and it falls hard. Yes, that's my experience.
Okay. Wow, love a world of sharks. At least we'll remember that.
Really?
Somebody who's feeling, these people seem to be happy people throughout. It's smooth.
I can
Sarah
go
Hassan.
Yes, it is full of sharks. I can tell you that for free, just like what Bay said. And for me, coming from being on screen, the criticism, if I may call them that, are much more than people behind the scenes. So imagine, and then on top of criticisms, there's rejection as well that comes from being an actor, because not all auditions you're going to get no. So like the first few times, it's heartbreaking. It is just terrible. You will cry, you will go to sleep and say, maybe I should try something else. But then it's a matter of knowing, is this what I want to do? Why did I get into this? What is the reason I am still here? And so you need to understand that this is what you want to do. And just what Bay said, you need to be grounded. Sorry.
Baby.
Yes, you need to be. Yes. So you just need to be grounded. You need to know who you are. It's fine. There's positive criticism and there's criticism that actually helps. Because there's actually someone who's going to say something that actually makes sense. It's not that they're hating or anything. It is actually criticism that will help you. So stuff like criticism like that, it's good. Take it and be like, oh, all right, then I could have worked on this better. Okay, then that's good. I will apply this to my next project or to whatever else it is that I am doing. But then there's other people who, yes, will want to bring you down. And it's fine. That's life. In every single aspect of or every single sector, there's always that. It's just maybe on different levels, just that maybe ours is out in the open. Ours is, and now with social media and everything, it's just a matter of knowing who you are, being grounded, having your support system, which is very, very key. So yeah, I think that's that. Yeah. Just need to have a tough skin.
Yeah. Good. Well, so our listeners are getting that. They need to know that it's smooth. There are times when you shed tears. There are times when you're smiling, and that you need to be tough. Betty Furet.
Yeah, I mean,
tell us more about getting tough and living in this life.
I'll never quit. That's a given, you know. Never. I mean, if I was going to quit, I would have done it when I was in my 30s, mid 30s. But really, when you become 40, you're like, please, you've grown up. You're tougher than ever. So I'll never, ever quit. That's a fact. Nothing will ever make me quit. So if anybody's waiting for that, well, yeah, I'm sorry. One, two. I mean, about criticism, yes, your work has been criticized. You win lots of awards, and sometimes your work gets criticized. I really like that, because I always say that if I'm the cleverest person in the room, then I'm in the wrong room. If I'm in a room where my work is perfect, I'm the best, and then I have no one to compete against, I'm in the wrong room. I'd rather be in a room where I'm actually at the bottom, you know, so I have something to aspire to be. About the criticism that just comes from for whatever other reason, that's just hogwash. It comes in here and goes out there. It doesn't even pass here at all. You have to know who is criticizing you for the right reasons, you know, and absolutely turn off the noise. I'm lucky because I've learned how to have a one-track mind. I know nothing else but what I'm doing at this particular time. What am I doing? I'm putting out a film. Everything else is irrelevant. Everything else is irrelevant. So there's nothing that will make me feel like quitting. Nothing will make me cry to a point where I cannot lift myself up. Nothing will deter me from the goal that I have at hand. I'm putting out a film. It's going to take me 1.5 years. For the next 1.5 years, that's the only thing that is at the top of my mind, and everything else is going to feed that. Production is beautiful. It's great. Being on set is fantastic. I'm happiest when I'm doing this, and it's also some of my most miserable times. Oh my God, it's hard, you know? You're so miserable, you're so tired, you're doing 22-hour days, it's so tough, and you're the producer. Everybody's looking up to you and asking you, what do you do? And you have no idea what to do, but you have to think, you know? It's my happiest time, and it's my most miserable time. But at the end of the day, it's the only thing I can do. So it's about, B said it very well, it's about, and Sarah as well, knowing who you are. What do you want to do? If you don't want to do this, there are many jobs, actually. By the way, there are quite a number of jobs that you can do and you'll be successful. But if this is what you want to do, then you have to give the job the respect it deserves. You know, give it the respect it deserves. Heshimu cinema. I don't know in Kiswahili. Just give it the respect it deserves and do it with all your heart. Otherwise, don't attempt. Don't. You'll die. You'll die. Yeah. That's it.
No, we don't want you to die. We want you to still
if you don't have
remain
the strength,
strong. Keep going.
You don't have the strength. You don't have the strength. It's not for the faint-hearted. Yeah? That's what I'm saying. You have to have the strength of metal. It's not for the faint-hearted. Yeah. So if criticism breaks you, you're in the wrong job. Completely. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. Edima, I know as you work with women, perhaps you're one of those they run to, like Bear said, that, you know, there must be that one person that she runs to when she's feeling I have come to the end. What would be the advice you'd be giving to young women or female filmmakers who have had criticisms and to them this is just like breaking them? What would you tell such a woman watching or listening this afternoon?
I think no matter I think no matter what profession you're in, you will always face support, and then people who will criticize you. I think I'll just first start, before I talk about the support structures, I'll first start by saying, in Nigeria, I work a number of roles. Beyond Ladima, I am Deputy Chief of Staff to a female minister. I'm also a technical advisor, to the president on peace and stability. And I'm sure you've also seen a lot of the issues that have happened in Nigeria in the last few weeks, where because of police brutality, you have, the youth, rising to speak to it. Now, within these roles, you're consistently criticized, but I think integrity matters first and foremost. You need to know what it is that you're here, to do. You need to understand your role and why that role has been assigned to you at that particular point in time. And you need to rise above the negative criticism. Where it is constructive, you need to listen. I think it's normally very hard, to balance, even when people are criticizing. It's very hard to balance whether it's coming from a good place or a bad place. And because it's you always tend to be on the defensive. One of the things I am learning to do, and this is the support, I think, is to always take a step back and not always think about, criticism to be negative, or it's just about you. It's not about you. It's about the circumstance. And I think for women in film, the most critical thing, it's not only just running, to someone. It is ensuring that that person you run to can really support and advise appropriately, and it's ensuring that, whatever response that is given to you, you're able to, look at it from, how would I put it, a perspective that doesn't, it doesn't come, or let me just put it this way. Don't be judgmental, and don't take it as, people judging you, because you grow from, whatever criticism you get. But another thing that I've noticed within the film environment is that because we do not have properly trained film critics, and because of the social media now, everybody has something to say. Whether you, in response to, all the hard work that you've done. But I think more often than not, just don't go to bed thinking, about, the negative. Think about the positive things that have been said, and think about how, you can challenge yourself, to move forward. For me, as a woman, I think women who are influential, and it's one of the things, again, that we at Ladima try to do, is to try and get, women who are influential to let, the younger generation understand the path and what they may face, so that they're prepared for it, and how they can mitigate it, or even totally, go through life without having to be challenged by that. So I think we need to, as countries, first and foremost, just like Betty said, even though Ladima is there from a Pan-African point of view, you need to have, your groups, your organized in a manner that you can reach out to each other, you can ask questions, you can, get some support and some comfort when things become hard. And then at a regional level, and then at an African level. But the point is, the most important thing, and I keep saying it, it's not really about, criticism. It's about, supporting each other. It's about collaborating and partnering and lifting, that's just it.
Wow, wonderful. At least now our women, those interested in filmmaking, know that criticism is part of it. You cannot work without it. People will say bad things, but you need to move on. That should not stop you from achieving whatever you want to achieve.
I know that women have a lot of challenges, also from the point of view that besides being a female filmmaker, you have your other life. At the beginning of before we began the show, I was listening to a chat between Dr. Okot and Sarah Hassan, and she was saying something, about women. A woman is a mother, a woman is a wife, a woman is, How are we balancing this? Sarah Hassan, being a mother, how do you balance between being a mother, doing filmmaking? Because I know that filmmaking is very involving. There are young people like you out there who are wondering, hey, now I want to become a mother, I want to become a wife. Does that mean that I will not be successful in filmmaking? What would you tell them? How do you balance the two between your career and family, being a mother, being a wife, etc.?
I would say women are superheroes. We can do a lot. We truly are. Because Plan B, which I produced and acted in, I was actually 6 months pregnant when I did that. And then right after that, the next year in February, when it came out, that's when I think we were finally filming 46, and I was 8 months pregnant. The shoot was at night. So like there were a few day shoots, but it was mainly at night. And I was fine because we literally are superheroes. So we can do it just because someone is pregnant or has a child, it doesn't hinder them from doing anything. It's quite the opposite, because then it gives them a different perspective in life. And that then increases, in terms of storytelling, that's a new perspective. That's a new perspective that they did not have before. And this comes from a personal point of view. And so that is an addition to the stories that you're going to tell in the future and all that. So it's a plus. It's never a minus. And it's all about time management. So yeah, I would say women are superheroes and we can do everything.
Wow.
With superheroes. Listeners are taking that, and particularly we interested in filmmaking. Betty.
Hey.
Betty, if you I know you're also a mother and you have other roles. Okay? And I just heard you say, there are moments when you'd be crying, you are tired, you can't do anything. So what happens in such situations? How would you encourage them? It's likely to come, yes, when they get into filmmaking. But how do you balance your experience?
First of all, my children are grown, My son is 21, my daughter is 15. So, basically they're just there. They've gone away. But really, practically what I do, and I found this balance after a very long time, is I don't leave the house unless I have to. I work at home. I don't leave the house unless I have to. So my office is here, my studios are here. And then I don't leave unless I have to. So that when I have to leave, then they are able to understand. That's just a very practical solution that I came up with, because there are so many things you can do outside of your house. You can have meetings, you can have a drink with your friends, you can take trips, you can do that, but do you really have to? So that when you have to go on location for 60 days, for 45 days like I was, until Monday, then they understand, mama has to work, wife has to work. But otherwise, I just try to spend as much time as I can with them when I can. And then I explain to them that I have to go on location and they have to understand. And then I guess, I don't know, you just have to have your luck of the draw. It's your luck of the draw on who your family members are, perhaps. I don't know. People who will understand you and get to know you. But it's not easy. It's not easy. Sometimes you have to really take a tough stance and know who you are and say, hey, this is my job and I have to do my job. Otherwise, what am I? So it's a tough divide, and everybody has to find their own balance of this tricky situation. But it can be done because we are doing it, and we are able to balance both, really. That's my opinion. Yeah. Then I'm a superhero, like Sarah said. Yeah.
I think Eva is not there.
Maybe B, you go. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Like
so I think something has to be. There's something to be said about the support systems that then Betty and Sarah have to be able to do this thing. Because who is with the kids or who's looking after them when you're shooting 55 days out of Nairobi? You know, something has to be said about the people that are supportive of you. You know, people who stand and make sure that nothing falls apart when you're away or when you have to write the script for however many hours. You know. So that for me is a very, 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 I'm single, I don't even have a cat, but it's a very big thing for me to think about, and it's always at the back of my mind. Yeah, it's at the back of my mind. I can't just wake up one day and boom, I want to boom, I want, it's crazy. You need to be a stance person to pull some of these stunts. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not trying. No. I love my superhero. My superhero is when I'm single and doing this single thing that I know how to do. And if you're going and if you come around me, cat, dog, whatever it is, supportive of this ship that is moving forward. If you are pushing me behind, sorry, you're out.
It's true. Anyone who comes into your life needs to understand what it is that you do. Yeah. Like it might take, I might not see you for a full week because I'm not even here, I'm in Mombasa or something like that. So the people that you end up with, or the people that you're usually around, or the people or the family or your family members need to be people who understand exactly what you do, need to understand the responsibilities that you have. Because for us, you know, we have down times and then we have crazy times.
Yes.
Unless like it's a proper running series where, you know, majority of the time is crazy. But then if it's like film, then you have like this crazy period, and then it slows down, and then it slows down, and then it slows down, and then it goes back up. So I think, support system needs to be on 100.
And then when you're when you're slow down period, you just do that other job completely. Then when you have to run away and do the other one, then you have to run away and do the other one. Not so.
Yeah.
Been left to our own devices here, people.
So I can say something. I really must say that I really respect the fact that you guys have families and you're doing it. Yeah, that's superhero. That's, I always say I'm not a superhero in that sense, but
you are.
No, you are. You are.
When it gets to that time, you won't quit, will you?
Nah, bro. Nah.
Yeah.
It's just an added superpower.
Yes.
Wow.
You're already a superhero.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Can you?
We can hear you. We can see you.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
We can
hear me.
Yes, we can.
Good. Okay. Our time is almost gone. I just have one question or one area I would want us to focus on before we conclude. I know everyone is listening to you and they are looking at you and they're admiring you and they're saying, wow, wonderful stories, wonderful achievements, and they would want to know. Now, my point is, would you share with our listeners what is the trick towards becoming a successful female filmmaker? What is the trick? Is there a trick, or is it natural, or does it just come? Do you work at it? What has been your experience?
Single-minded focus. For me, it's just single-minded focus. I mean, that's it. I have what I want to do, and that's all I do. That's it. Single-mindedness of focus.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, I would say consistency. Consistency through anything. Just go on. Even if you made a mistake on this one, learn from it, grow, continue on to the next one. The mistake that you made previously, those are the lessons that you're going to learn. So you learn from that and apply that to your next project. So consistency, and then if you haven't started, just start. It's never a good time to start. You'll say you'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow something's going to come up. Same way I've been saying about going back to the gym. I've been saying tomorrow still hasn't come. So just start today. Like there's no right time to start. And the last thing I would say, collaborations. Collaborations are key. Collaborate with people who have been in the industry longer, people who have a different skill set, people who have the same vision as you. So collaboration, I would say as well, is key to getting where you need to be, to growing. And growth, I think, is never ending. We're always growing, we're always learning. So yeah, consistency, growth, just start, and collaborations. I would say just that.
I really like that, Sarah. I think I'll add onto that and say identity. You've got to know who you are if you're going to be in the business of making film, especially as a female filmmaker, because there's more that's not for you than what's for you, you know. So, and you have to be able to push through. And if you're shaky from your psyche, then you stand. And then the other thing is you have to network. Your network is your net worth. It matters who you know. As a female filmmaker, it'll matter even times 10 more who you know to be able to make it through this journey. Because it's not just about making a film. It's about having your film seen by whoever it is intended to. For me, it's the world. So who am I talking to from that perspective so that they can be able to see or help me get my film to that point, you know? It's extremely important. That's how I feel about if you're coming into the film industry. Edima, maybe you have experienced something we haven't.
No, I think you're totally right. And I mean, everything Sarah, Betty, and you have said literally are the pillars of Ladima Foundation. You know, it is our 5 pillars focus on first and foremost collaboration. Second is about networking. The third thing is about capacity building, and that's when you know your craft, then you're able to really speak to your identity. Bear. And we also feel that within the African film environment, if we're able to, establish, these pillars in a sense, then it will help not only the young filmmakers who are coming in, that's young women filmmakers coming into the industry. It will also help the more established, more mature filmmakers to grow, and to create enterprises that will eventually support other women. So it's really necessary to collaborate, to network, to partner with each other, and to build your capacity, at any point in time so that you can grow. So I totally agree with, everything that has been said by all of you. And I think that is the support that we bring to the table. I mean, the majority of us, apart from maybe Lydia, who are in the Ladima Film Foundation, we are not filmmakers in a sense, but we are within the film environment. And we are using our experience, our networks, our partnerships, our collaborations, and even the funding that we get to make sure that we can bring more women into the film industry, and support them to stay, because it's one thing to come in, it's another thing to sustain that journey that you're about to, embark on. So I think, for me, everything, you have all said, are the reason why we are here, and for me, I think it's very critical that we all work together and not see it as being competitive, but seeing it as being collaborative. Okay.
Hi.
Eva, are you there?
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sorry, I'm so sorry about these network challenges,
We have had such a good discussion, and yet it's failing me. However, I'm so happy about your participation in this discussion. Thank you for the good pieces of advice you've given to our female filmmakers. And because I can see we have just a few minutes left before we are over and done with the time we've been given for our discussion, I would want each one of us just to give our viewers a parting shot as a successful Kenyan or African filmmaker. What would be your parting shot at the end of this discussion? So we would start with Edima.
I think for
your
me,
parting shot
it's
to our listeners this evening.
Okay, I think for me it is just being first and foremost passionate about what it is that you do and learn your craft. You know, you need to understand the business of film. Don't go into film, you know, just to make films that you can keep at home. Go into, you know, filmmaking because you want to make a change. You want to speak your truth. You want to share your knowledge. And beyond that, you want to be profitable at it.
Okay, thank you, Edima. Betty, your parting shot?
My parting shot to Kenyan filmmakers
Betty
would be,
Furet?
yes, my parting shot would be to encourage people to make more films so we can grow an industry. We don't want to be lonely anymore. It's enough now. We need more people to come, because if we have at least 15, 20 producers making a feature film a year, you know, we grow our audiences by that much more. But if we have only 5 or 2, then even our audiences forget. When was the last time we saw a Kenyan film? 3 years ago, there was this film. Then you give them another one after 5 years. It's better, the more the merrier. So all the women and men and boys and girls who want to make films, please come. Like Sarah said, there's never a good time to start. Start now. And let's collaborate and make more and more films so we can grow an industry. Yeah.
Good. Thank you, Betty. Bear?
I
Bear
think you learn.
Kindly, your parting shot, yes?
You learn by doing. Tomorrow never comes, so go in there and do what you said you're passionate about and make it. And then look for people that you admire and ask to volunteer for free. Put yourself out there. That's the only way people are going to know you exist, and people are going to know what you're good at. You'll also discover what you're good at. Yeah, so that's how I feel. And then, you know, just constantly educate yourself. Put yourself in a place where you're learning. There's so much now online that you can learn. I'm currently taking a course online. And I think that if you do that and take the rest of the advice, I think you're going to make it.
Thank you, Bear. Sarah Hassan, can you tell our viewers your parting shot to our listeners this evening?
I would say just begin. Like literally what I had said, there's no better time to start than now. So just start. There's space for everyone. It's not a small space where there's only a number of people that can fit. There's space for everyone. If you feel like the direction you want to take, you're not seeing an opportunity, create that opportunity for yourself. Collaborate with upcoming people. If you're upcoming, if you're established, anything, collaborate with people you look up to, collaborate with people who have different skill sets, and create the space for yourself, because there's a lot of space. So just start.
The majority of us, apart from maybe Lydia.
Wonderful. Thank you, ladies. I do appreciate each one of you. Thank you for sparing your time to attend this discussion. I'm sure our viewers and audience out there this evening are excited for having attended this discussion. They have learned something, particularly those who are interested in filmmaking. I'm sure your experiences, your journeys have impacted them, and I guess they're energized and they're looking forward to participating in filmmaking, particularly the women. And so we just want to thank you so much for sparing your time to be with us, to share your experiences and your journeys. May God bless you. I wish you more success beyond what you have done, so that you can also become role models in filmmaking in Africa, not only Kenyan scene, but in the African scene. I also want to thank the late International Pan-African Film Festival for creating such an awesome opportunity for upcoming and renowned Kenyan filmmakers, giving them a platform to share their experiences so that our viewers, I believe, all over the world can get to hear their stories and know that women are doing well in filmmaking. Thank you so much, Dr. Okoth. Thank you for the opportunity, and over and back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much to our audience for staying tuned all this time.
Okoth?
Yes, I'm already on, Eva.
And before Dr. Okoth finishes off, I do want to apologize for the technological challenges. I did not anticipate that. It just happened. But I thank God that we are able to finish together.
Okay.
Thank you, Daktari.
Okay, thank you. Actually, we are so glad that you are able to come and finish like you started. Yeah. So thank you so much, ladies. It's such an honor to have you. It's so insightful. Yeah, like, I mean, Bea, collaborate. Sarah, keep doing it. Betty, she needs more people to keep producing. And I think that's it. We will keep doing this thing together. For some of us, collaboration is the only thing we know. It's the only language. And Bea, thanks for telling the young people that they have to start by doing it for free. Yeah. My students are listening. Yeah. So thank you so much to our audience. This has been a lovely session. Tomorrow morning, we have another session, Know Your Distributor, from 10 to 1 p.m. And we have great distributors from all over Africa who are ready to talk to you about what they do and how they do it. And then in the afternoon, we have got another panel, Monetizing Your Creative Content. The ladies have told us where the money is where the problem. Tomorrow, it's all about money from morning to night. So join us, and we will be glad to have another interactive session. And on Saturday, we will have the new era of filmmakers and, of course, the Gala Awards. We are virtual, but nothing is limited. So thank you so much, ladies. And until next time, let's keep it here at the Lipff Festival page on YouTube and on Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, ladies.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.